Hello, Facebook. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm sorry that I'm like a little tardy for the party, but look, I done had a day. So I'm gonna give you guys time to hop on, share the live, tag somebody and let them know we're live. I am so excited to be back live this week with my good friend, Mr. Carlton Fackner. And I'm wearing his shirt. Hey, Jocelyn. And I'm wearing his shirt. Dear Queen, you lack nothing. So look, I love his shirt. Super excited. I gave him 2 weeks off and said, look, take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to get it popping. So I'm going to give y'all time to come in, share the live, tag your friend, go ahead and tell them like, look, they live and it's going to be live. So just come on in the room. Cause it's definitely going to be live. Hey, Lakeithia. So please share. Carlton will be joining soon. It's so funny, when something is like purpose, like when the connection is so purposeful, it's super funny. So Carlton is a coach. So just like I'm a coach. And I texted him and I was like, hey, I'm coming, but I'm in a session. And he's like, yeah, me too. I just finished the session. So we hadn't even talked today. Hey, Heather. We hadn't even talked today. And it seems like we're always kind of like on the same page and wavelength. So it's so good to be connected to people that, speak your language, that understand the struggle. So yeah. So anyhow, I'm excited. I missed going live with him for 2 weeks. And I'm sure you guys missed this as well. So definitely come in. We're going to be talking. So as I'm waiting on him to join, I am excited because within the next couple of weeks, Vulnerability, The Art of Letting Go, is going to be on sale for pre-order. So I am excited about this book because I do believe that it's going to be bigger than Purposeful Pain. And I'm so excited about that. It's definitely not a woman's read. It's a people's read. It's a relationship read. It's a I want to be better in life read. So I just wrote my first blog literally last night for Vulnerability, and it should be dropping next week sometime. Jocelyn should be dropping it, and it's called Naked and Ashamed, My Story of Vulnerability. So the book, Vulnerability, Art of Letting Go, is a manual and a guide. Hey, Regina. It's a manual and a guide on how to break down your walls, the emotional walls that we put up, and become vulnerable. So the book is a guide, but the blog is if the book was a story. So in the book, you get obviously my 2-year journey. In the blog, you get my life story. So if I made it a movie, that's what the blog is. So make sure that you subscribe. I did drop the link in the live to bridgingyourpurpose.com. Make sure you go and subscribe. Hey, Lauren, make sure you go and subscribe so that way you get the updates of when the blog drops. Of course, Jocelyn always drops it on my pages. So if you follow Bridge Your Purpose or my personal page on Facebook or Instagram, she always drops the link, but you are not going to want to miss it. It's heavy writing. I wrote the first part of it last night and I was blown away. Hey, Lakeitra, I was blown away. So I'm just telling you, get ready, because the blog, the Naked and Ashamed, and I named it Naked and Ashamed because vulnerability makes you feel naked and ashamed. You know what I'm saying? Like getting to that point of being able to just open up to a person and just being able to share with them like your scars, the areas that you're trying to grow in. Hey, Josie. That stuff is scary. And especially when you've never done it before, you know? When you've never done it before, you've never seen it done, ain't nobody talking about it getting done, you be naked and ashamed. Like, people be trying to make it seem like I'm unashamed. I am ashamed, okay? Hey, Miss Marcia, I am ashamed. So I'm not about to lie and tell you I'm naked and unashamed. No, I'm naked and ashamed, but I'm vulnerable. So I wanted it to be very, very real life. I wanted you guys to fall in love with the story, because I can only write what I'm living. So just know that that's a real story. That really happened to me. It may be happening at that moment. We just never know where this writing gonna go. So please make sure that you subscribe to the Bridging Your Purpose page, so that way whenever we drop the link for the blog, it's going to your email and you are getting it. It's gonna be on the app as well. So I'll make sure to send out notifications on the app so you guys will know when the blog is out. And please leave your comments. Definitely leave your comments. Definitely let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And so I just thought it would be such an amazing time to be dropping the pre-order for the book, Vulnerability, Art of Letting Go, and giving you guys the manual, but then also giving you a storyline to go along with it, because both of them is my life. So these are all... this happened in real life. So, hey, Chris. So, y'all, please, please, please share the live. I am just super excited to be talking tonight about vulnerability from a woman's perspective. So a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Carlton and I talked about why do men struggle with vulnerability. So, if men here, hey, sis, hey, Dina, y'all gonna want to be on here. So share my live, tag your friends. Okay, because this is gonna be coming from like a real place. A real conversation. Hey, Carlton.
Hey, what's
Nothing
going
much.
on,
I'm
Lauren?
trying to see, like, this is kind of different. Now it has you up in
I
the...
know, I know. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, did I do something wrong? I'm
Oh,
like,
you know
oh
what? But
man.
like on my other, like, I'm looking at it on my other page, and you're normal, like how you know. Yeah.
Normal.
So to the world, maybe you are the normal way, because
I'm praying. I'm praying. I don't know if Josh can tell us
John,
if I'm normal or
tell
not.
us if you can see Carlton. Oh, Carlton, look at my shirt. These...
Hey, see, yeah, I
look,
saw it.
great
Yeah,
minds. I said,
it looks
for this
good.
purpose, you don't have to talk.
That's a whole
Yeah.
word. Drop your cash app.
And look at we just getting started. I'm so excited. I missed you. I missed our live. I missed
I know, me too. Me too. I definitely,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I'm glad to be back, doing the live. For those who, I guess, may not have known, probably about 3 or 4 weeks back, I did test positive for COVID-19, which took me out a little bit. I went through the symptoms and everything along those lines. And, you fast forward, a couple weeks, I am symptom free. I feel amazing. God is
Yes.
good. And He helped me through that process. There were difficult days. There were days where I'm just like, can this
Yeah.
pass already? But having people like you, reach out via text, sending me CMOS and, all of
Okay.
the good stuff.
I sent you
Say it
the
again.
COVID care package.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. So like all of those things were definitely helpful in the process. I'll share something real briefly, and I guess
Yeah,
we
go
could get
ahead.
started. But God put something on my heart during
Come
that
on.
time, and God revealed to me this: you have to learn to
Mm.
rest without taking away from your calling, or a lack of rest will
Your call.
take away from
Come
your
on.
calling.
Drop the cash app. See, you start. You done came from a 2 week
Right.
hiatus
I told you, I told
Ready.
you I'm ready. I'm symptom free. I'm symptom free, and I'm ready to go. So, like I said, I'm pretty excited about everything. But that's something that God put on my heart, and I think sometimes I know with me and God, I know God knows how devoted I am to my purpose and to my calling, to where I'm always wanting to work on it. So sometimes God can't let me get a little headache, a little shoulder ache or something like that to slow me down. Sometimes it has to be COVID-19 to where I have no energy to do anything. And it was crazy because I'm thinking like maybe I can get online and still post a couple messages, but God wasn't even putting messages on my heart
Right.
to share. And it wasn't because like he didn't,
Yeah.
it's not because he wasn't talking to me. It's like I need you to rest. So again, you have to learn to rest without taking away from your calling, or a lack of rest
Away from your
will take away from your calling. And that's what God put on me. So again, COVID-19 was a
yes.
blessing to me, and I'm symptom free now, and I'm ready to get live and talk about vulnerability. So
Of course you are.
from a women's perspective, right? So I'm
Of
excited.
course you are. Of course you are. Y'all, please share our live. Jocelyn said it looks fine to her, and she's on her mobile device. So
Okay. Oh, awesome.
like
That's
some new
good. That's
Facebook
good then.
update that we just got to learn about. So,
Hmm.
so again,
Hmm.
I'm excited, and of course, um, when I found out that Carlton was being attacked by the enemy, with the setup, I had to go into war for my friend. I was like, let me send you a care package. So shout out to y'all, if y'all will tag Rob Real in this post. Shout out to Rob. Rob took care of my good friend Carlton with the sea moss. Uh,
Shout out
yeah,
to
so
him.
shout out to Rob. Shout out to sea moss, the boss with the tea. Um,
Oh
the
man,
tea was everything.
man.
See,
It was, oh man, it was like it was a different experience, man. When I got the package, and I'm just like, man, I'm like, he must have went and got this himself.
what the,
I've never had sea moss before, and I'm like, man, he must have got this himself, man. Like that was some good stuff. I do that in my tea, and I was sipping, and I was slowly but surely, regaining my energy. Like I said, so I had to let it pass. But once I threw the sea moss in there, it kind of
yes,
changed things.
Rob.
So.
If y'all have not gotten Rob Seamoss, y'all need to get Rob Seamoss. His website is called Common Sense with a K. Um, so I just saw today he
Hmm.
said that he had lights again. So if Jocelyn, if you don't mind tagging Rob in this live, tell him to drop the link for the people who may need it. But I was like, not on my watch. Like, no, you don't come for my friend. You can't come for my live,
Right.
Facebook live, better have. I don't think
Yeah.
so. Um so
Right. Right. They can't come. They can't come for us unless
that's
we send
it.
for them. Right.
That's it.
Right.
Correct. So look, don't be trying to come. You look, a good woman is always a good woman. Okay, so I had to get to the
Hey,
battlefield. I
preach.
checked on him every single day. It was like,
And I could tell because like I said once those few rough days went past, and like I said, prayer and all that, I started to feel a little bit better, and appetite was coming back, and now I had energy and all that good stuff. So I'm kind of coming
mhm.
around the corner now. I feel like I
Let
said
me
I
find
feel
out you feel
feel
like going on. Though,
right. I feel like going on. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what the spirit does tonight. We'll see how long we're on the
look,
live.
just
So.
let me know, okay? Because I ain't trying to wear you out. I told you only had 2 weeks off. Don't come playing with me.
Oh no. Hey. Well. Hey. I'm good. I
Oh,
feel
I'm
great.
trying to take days off there. So, okay, so today I've been preparing for this live, right? And been thinking about it. And y'all, please share. I know it's gonna be a blessing tonight. I just know it's gonna be a blessing tonight. Um, Jocelyn, tag Rob's name. Just I don't know if you're friends with him, but if not, I'll do it. But just tag his name in the live so he'll see it. Um, but I have been like really thinking about, okay, what am I gonna say? Like because of course we know, okay, Josh, of course we know vulnerability, art of letting go is gonna be going on pre-order like in the next couple of weeks. I'm very excited about it. Um and I'm just very excited about it, period, because it it's my life. It's my 2-year journey. And so I was challenged like yesterday, literally, that I needed to start back blogging because I hadn't really been blogging. And so last night I wrote my first entry for vulnerability. And so vulnerability, art of letting go, I wrote the blog for it, and the blog is called Naked and Ashamed: My Story of Vulnerability. So as I was preparing today, because we were going to find out why women struggle to be vulnerable, the song that came was Tamia. There's this song that's called I Hope This Time It's Love. And literally this morning, as I was driving to the gym, I was thinking about just the words to the song. And, it talks about, hey, Brianna, it talks about, and y'all share my life. Um, what will I do? Where will I go? When it's my turn, how will I know that you are the man that I've been dreaming of? I hope this time is love. And I have been in that season, and in the season of, okay, God, is this time, is it love? And I remember when I was writing chapter 12 of vulnerability, and that chapter is called Shot Clock. And I remember being anxious in that season, just kind of like thinking, okay, God, is this the one? Like, okay, this person is coming. Is that the one? And none of it being the one, none of it being the one at all. But what I found was that God was showing me that the shot clock was not there to make me feel like I needed to rush. Hey, Kiara, but that I was there to remind me that the time would end, and that I was drawing nigh closer to the ending than I was, maybe in the beginning, in like first quarter, second quarter, you know what I'm saying? Like the game was really starting to come to an end. And so that I did not have to be anxious for anything. And so when I thought about the words to that song and just women and just myself in general, why I have struggled with vulnerability, why I still sometimes struggle with vulnerability, it has a lot to do with, and especially when I coach and I talk to women a lot, especially for Black women in particular, we are not taught to expose our feelings. We are taught to just deal with it, not to say when we're afraid, not to expose that we are scared, not to expose that um we just don't know how to handle certain things. And so it comes across in relationships as, I'm just not trying to tell you, when the truth is, it may be that I don't want to tell you because I'm afraid, like, what if that comes up again? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I read this quote a while ago that said the worst thing you can do is tell a person what you've been through and then them try to put you through it again. And that is one of the reasons that I can speak for, as being a woman, that I have struggled with vulnerability, is because I, a part of it was me not knowing myself fully, but then the other part was me not trusting that you could carry the weight of what I had. Because I tell people I'm small in stature, I'm not a big woman in stature, but what I carry in my purpose is very big. And I'm a lot of personality, and I have a lot going on, and I have a lot to offer, and I have loads of love to share and give to people, to the point that sometimes, I'm afraid that I may overwhelm you. You know what I'm saying? If I told you what I really felt, that I could possibly overwhelm you. And so when you are wondering, I hope this time is love, I know for me, I was just like, God, are we there yet? Like, are we there yet? Because I'm ready to, drop the bags of the weight of the pain that I've been through, drop the bags of the hurt that I've gone through, the hurt that I have caused, because of my inability to just be vulnerable.
And for most women, and speaking for myself in specifically, one of the things that has made me struggle so much with it is I don't know what you're going to do with it. Can I trust you?
Mm.
You know, and that's one of the things I talked about in my blog was, can I trust you? Can I trust you to show you my scars? I know you're begging to see it. I know you're asking me to show you, but if I show you, what are you going to do with it? What does showing you cost me? And that's what most women won't tell you. They'll make it about everything
Mm.
else. And so sometimes we put things out there that we feel like a man will go for because we don't feel like he will go for us just as we are. So you see women over sexualizing themselves, you know, being more provocative, being, you know, focusing more on maybe the sexual innuendo because that seems to get the response that intimacy is not getting, right? And so we'll lead with the wrong thing because that's the thing that's getting the attention. So in
Mm.
our mind, it's safe to say that's what you can carry. You know, but you may not be able to carry my ugly, like, can you carry my ugly truth? That's the fear that women have that we don't talk about. And so men will think that we are nagging or we are complaining about one thing or the thing that we are showing. But the truth is there's a whole different thing behind that curtain. So if I'm complaining about getting to spend time with you, it's not that I'm trying to take over your time, but it may just be that I feel so separated from you because I'm not allowed to come in and enjoy you. You know, I see you giving your time to this person and that person and this thing and that thing, but you don't realize it's making me insecure and it's got me thinking like, am I not good enough? Why, you know, why are you not choosing me? Why is it that you only choose me if it's gonna please you? And so for a woman, that's it's hard, and it's really hard when sometimes the only thing that a man continues to ask you about is what you can do in a bedroom. You know, when the only conversation is mainly either about him or the act of being sexual with him. What does that, you know? And to me, that's a huge turnoff because I'm at that mindset where if if our purpose don't excite you, like if the purpose don't excite you, for me, I'm not excited because I'm mentally stimulated before anything. So I don't like for people to lead with their pockets, meaning like I don't want to know how much you make because I really don't care. And I'm just being honest, I really don't care. Um, because I've been around, I mean, millionaires, multi-millionaires who are unhappy and not walking in their purpose. So I don't, I think the most unattractive thing a man can be is full of purpose, but not activating it. So I look at everything because again, it's not taught in our homes, especially in the Black community. It's not taught how to be vulnerable. What is taught is
Right.
I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm not going to tell Carlton that I'm afraid. I'm like, Carlton, I'll be honest with you. If I were to have had COVID-19, God forbid I never do, but if I were, I don't know if I would have been able to say it to you. Like, hey, I can't do the live
Mm.
because I may have been like, I'm not feeling good.
Mm.
Isn't that crazy? Like, but
Crazy.
I'm just being very transparent. And I know a lot of you who are on the live, y'all look, drop your comments, drop your questions, join in, get a hearts, because half of y'all know that's how you're acting. Because I'm such a superwoman. I don't
Mm.
get tired.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm,
like Kevin
mhm,
Gates. I don't
mhm,
get
mhm.
tired, you know? And
Right, right,
and
right,
I
right.
am most celebrated because of my tirelessness, my ability to go I don't get celebrated for being tired or saying, you know what, this isn't working for me. I'm not celebrated then. So that is why, some of the reason why, the introduction why women, we struggle with vulnerability. That saying I need you, whew, you know that, you know,
Right.
my
Yeah.
face, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh Lord, like you want me to say it out loud? Like, what you doing?
Right. hmm Yeah. That's it. I mean, and when I was thinking about the question, as far as women and
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability, and it was kind of like the last few things that you said, I feel a lot of women, and I'll even speak specifically to African American
Yeah.
or Black women. It's just that it's like you've been trained since birth to be independent. So you go the majority of your life being told to be independent. You
Yeah.
don't need a man, don't let nobody see you sweat, don't let nobody see you tired. And like you said, you're celebrated because you don't get tired, or you're celebrated for how quote unquote strong you are because people only see you being
Right.
strong. So if you're taught to be independent, I gotta be independent. I can't, I gotta be strong. It's just me. I gotta depend on me
Mm-hmm.
only. When do you ever learn to be vulnerable?
Come on.
So so again, and it goes back to even what we were talking about with men. How can you expect somebody to do something they've never been taught? Like if you've never played basketball,
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically speaking, how can I expect you to come onto the basketball court and make a jump shot? You haven't been taught that. You've been a cheerleader your entire life. You've been playing tennis or volleyball your entire life. So just to step into an arena and play basketball and you've never done it, that's going to be difficult for you to do because you've never done it. So if women have never been vulnerable, right? Because like you said, sometimes it's like, I don't know what you're going to do with my ugly truth. Or I don't know what you're going to do with what I tell you. And even from a man, I felt the same way. But again, there's a level, and as a man, I felt that way, like with certain people. Like if I tell you certain things, whether it's my ugly truth, if I tell you, hey, you know what, in the past relationship, I wasn't 100% honest with my ex,
Yeah.
hypothetically speaking. What are you going to do with that truth? And that's big because some people may feel like, okay, well, I'm thinking, is that person going to rub that in my
Right.
face? But also, what may happen is this: are you going to do that to me? Even though I'm a changed man and say, you know what, I admit my mistakes in my last relationship before you. Hey, I made some mistakes. I did some things that I wasn't personally proud of as a man. With me sharing that, are you going to take that and say, oh, she's going to do it to me?
Yeah.
Right? Or, because again, that's why sometimes, men, women kind of say certain things. It's like, are you going to judge me? Right? Even the same thing with me having COVID. If you tell somebody, yeah, it was funny. I think last week, I was feeling good. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go drive. I was gonna go drive to the store to, get some things, right? And my car wouldn't start. My battery I don't know what happened. I just think it's just, God. Battery died. So I'm like, how does my car not run for 14 days and my battery is dead? I don't understand. Make it make sense, right? So call a guy to come jump my battery. So he's like, hey man, X, Y, and Z, I'm like, he's like, when's the last time that you drove it? I said, I drove it in, 14 days. That was about 2 weeks ago, man. I've been sick. I haven't been feeling well. And he's like, you don't got that Rona, do you? And I was like, and I was like, actually, I did test positive for COVID-19. Man, he jumped my car, put the thing, and I was like, do I need to sign anything? He's like, no, I'm good, man. I don't want to get that thing, man. I'm out. And he left because I said I had COVID. So you almost So it's almost like I can't even be vulnerable with a brother, right? And tell him, hey, I had it. I said, I'm good now, man. I'm symptom free. But the fact that I mentioned that I had it, he's like, oh, I'm good. I'm out of here. I don't want that thing, right? So it's like, how are you going to use, like you said, how are you going to use my truth? How are you going to use my truth? Are you going to use it to judge me, or are you going to use it to help me? And again, from a woman's perspective, it's like, are you going to use my ugly truth to help me be better, or even understand? And this is the difference between a man and a boy, because like you mentioned, is it love? Because a boy can't understand vulnerability because they don't have the capacity to do it. A boy doesn't have the capacity to understand vulnerability. They're like, what's that? You go to some men that are still in a boy phase, and you talk about vulnerability and a woman being open, like you said, it comes off as nagging. They don't even listen to understand or listening to respond, right? Like, oh, she's getting on my nerves. But she trusts you, bro. And like, even with me telling you that, I trust you. I trust you, right? Because just imagine if I just said I was under the weather, I'm not feeling good. Then you don't send a care package because I wasn't all the way vulnerable. But the fact that I trusted you with that information.
You better come on.
Say it again.
I'm about to fall.
Right? Hey, right? But the fact that I trusted you, the more that I trusted you, guess what? I got more from you. Because if I said I'm just under the weather, you're just like, oh, we'll take a week off. I'll see you next week. But the fact that I was vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm honest, I got COVID-19. And you're like, oh, no, we got to get you better. And you sit, and I got more from you because I gave you more. So it's like the more you give, the more you receive. So when it comes to that vulnerability piece, the more a woman gives to a man, the more she should get from him. But like you were talking about the seed in the soil, putting the seed in the wrong soil, you can put good seeds in bad soil, but you're not going to reap. But if you put a good seed in good soil, then you're going to reap. So again, when it comes to that vulnerability piece, it has to be with the right person. It has to be with a man, not a boy. And also too, it goes back to what you were trained. Don't you know how long some women have been taught to be independent? There are women that are in their 30s that have been taught to be independent. Do you, be you, the whole nine. So you go 30 years of your life saying, I need to be independent. And then all of a sudden you hit 32 and they're saying, hey, you got to be vulnerable. Vulnerable, right? How Soulja Boy said, right? Vulnerable, right? I've been independent for 30 years of my life. I've been a single parent. I've been working 9 to 5. I worked 2 jobs. My mom told me don't depend on no man because a man is going to get up and leave. The devil is a liar.
Yeah.
Right? So they've been taught that for 30 years. So you almost have to erase something that you learned for 30 years. Right? Even with me having COVID, right? Even just in that short period of time, there are certain things that I had to unlearn from that. Because again, I'm so used to laying around, so used to drinking certain things to a point I said, hey, I got to unlearn this, right? There are certain things that still trigger COVID in my household. So I can only imagine somebody who was taught to be independent for 30 plus years, and now they're 31, 32 years old, and now we're having this live about being vulnerable. Well, I went 30 years of my life being independent. I don't know how to be vulnerable. I don't know how to share my ugly truth, right? I don't know how to share my ugly truth because I told, it's like, I'm going to keep things from you. Like you said, if you had COVID, Rona, whatever you want to call it, you're like, I'm just under the weather. He don't need to know all that. He don't need to know all that, right?
I don't know like that.
He don't need to know all that. Exactly. And that's how people walk around, right? Don't share. And again, and I grew up in a household mostly of women. I had my mom, my 2 sisters, and my dad. And, I've overheard conversations like, don't tell everybody your business because people going, and the whole nine, don't tell everybody your business because people, one person's going to tell somebody else and everybody's in your business. So guess what? Guess what that does to vulnerability?
Correct.
Smashes it. Because I've been taught at 8 years old, don't go around telling people your business, because they're going to be all in your business, and so next door is going to be in your business, and the person next to them is going to be in your business, right? So you go your whole life.
It's the judgment.
Say it again. It's the judgment. So you go your whole life saying, I don't want to be vulnerable because I've been taught not to be vulnerable, because if I am, everyone is going to be in my business and that's going to cause more problems. So I got to keep it to myself. So if I do got COVID, I'm keeping it between X, Y, and Z. I'm not telling anybody, or I ain't telling nobody, because I could have walked around and just said, hey, I could have just kept it to myself and said, hey, I'm just not feeling well. But there are certain people that I trust, right? Because again, I'm learning as a man, be vulnerable. I'm being open, right? I'm being open about my truth.
Because you've never met me, and I was one of those people that you trusted.
Right. Just like they were saying about what Chadwick, right? His circle was tight, right? So again, he was vulnerable to certain people, but again, it goes to this, right? It goes to this. He was vulnerable with the right people, because when you're vulnerable with the right people, guess what? None of that got leaked out that he had colon cancer, because he was vulnerable with the right people. So that's a part of vulnerability too. You got to be vulnerable with the right people, because everybody could have leaked, oh, he got colon cancer, and lighten up on him. But his circle was so tight, because again, this is the first time that I've publicly said that I've had it. But the people that I've told you, amongst other friends, that I had it, I knew it was going to stay here. So again, that's a part of being vulnerable, is knowing who you're vulnerable with. Can I trust my other half, right? And if you can't be vulnerable with a man, then that might not be the man for you, or that might not be the time. Because again, you're gonna that if it's the right man, it's gonna feel right. Like I don't know why I want to tell you this, right? You had those moments. I don't know why I want to share this with you. I don't know why God put this on my heart for me to share. This is something deep and dark. I don't know why God put this on my heart.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're being vulnerable with that person. So I think vulnerability, it starts with breaking something that we've been taught at a very young age. As women, you guys are taught to be independent, be strong, keep your business away from other people, right? So that just deletes vulnerability. As a man, we're taught to be macho, be strong, confessing your feelings as a man, that comes off as weak. So that does what to my vulnerability? Smashes it. I'm not vulnerable. My dad told me to be strong. My dad told me as a man, I'm not supposed to cry. I'm not supposed to say how I truly feel. My dad is like, hey, push through, right? So now I'm just learning about vulnerability, or getting deep into it, as a 34-year-old man. So the other 30-something years of my life, I was taught to be strong. My dad always told me, be a man, be a man. And I always thought, but what that means to him is be a man, right? So again, but now I'm grateful that we have a new definition of being a man, right? Because my dad's definition of being a man is being strong and don't let nobody see you cry, don't let nobody see you weak. But me, if you ask me, well, Carlton, what does it mean to be a man? Be vulnerable, love God, right? That's what being a man is to me. Because me being vulnerable does not delete or eliminate my masculinity. If anything, it is more masculine to be vulnerable, because I'm comfortable in my own skin. So again, that's what we got to be on. And that's another thing with vulnerability too. We got to be comfortable enough to share our ugly truth, and to know that, hey, I learned from it, and or it's going to make me better. So even if you take my ugly truth and you judge me because of it, I know that I'm better because I went through what I went through. So that's something that we got to be mindful of.
I agree with you. I'm 33, and I went through a marriage of 10 years, was not vulnerable. I struggled with allowing him to feel needed. And I remember him saying that, hey, Amari, hey, Miss Diane, I see y'all all coming in. Y'all please share the live. I struggled with being able to share how I felt.
Mhm.
about a lot of things. And so like the things that like that really crushed my inner spirit, I never talked about. And I would talk about it in the means of saying things like, "Are you trying to kill me?" Like, "Oh, you just are you trying to take all my little power?" You know, I talked about it from a point of stripping me. You know what I'm saying? Stripping me to my bare. And I remember just him saying, like, you know, you don't let me be the man, or you don't let me feel like I'm needed.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand the balance of um allowing him to feel needed. I was like, well, what that's supposed to look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, you saying I don't let you feel needed, what does that mean? You know, I work just as hard as you. I made just as much money, if not more, depending on the years, as you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, what needs you want? You want to go take the trash out? Like, you want to
Mhm.
get the cars detailed? What does that look? I did not know what that meant, because when I looked
Mhm.
at it from, if we look at it from the way that I was raised, I didn't like what that looks like. To me, you know,
Mhm.
my mom was more of like, she waited on my dad to do stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't travel far without, if my daddy wasn't going. And I mean, when I say far, I mean like 30 miles away,
Mhm.
like 20 miles away. Okay. Um, like, I just saw her so dependent on my dad, and him just kind of getting to do what he want to do. So to me, if that's what making you feel needed looks like, I didn't want no
Mhm.
parts of that, because I
Mhm.
felt like,
Mhm.
no, that's called taking advantage of, and I'm not going to be able to do that. So I didn't understand the balance of being able to allow a person in to my life and let them, like, to make space for them, you know, to make room for them. I didn't have that. I didn't know what
Mhm.
that looks like.
Mhm.
I was listening to a sermon that I put on the app this week by Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she it's an older sermon from like February, and she was saying that she wanted to do a Friday, like a girls night out Friday night thing. Hey y'all. And she said, I'm so glad that Teray is fine with, um, I love how
Mhm.
he makes space for me. He makes space for me to be. He makes space for my anointing, my calling. And so when I said I wanted to do this, you know, he called the powers that be, got the team together, and he made it happen. But he doesn't try to put me in a box where I'm suffocated to the only the space that he can handle.
Right,
And I
right,
think
right,
that
right,
that
right,
is
right, right.
super important when we talk about vulnerability, and when we're talking about a person exposing the weight of who they are and what they carry, is that you've got to be able to be vulnerable with somebody that has the capacity to make space for what you have. And
Space.
when she said
Mhm.
that, I was like, I
Mhm.
need to
Mhm.
write that in my notes. God.
Hmm.
Will you say my husband, can he know how to make space?
Space.
I need
Right.
him to know how to
Exactly.
make
Right.
space, because I can't shrink who I am just to
Mhm. Mhm.
feel
Right. Right. Right.
big in the room. If I have to shrink me, then you're not for me. And for the women that are watching, and the women that will watch this live later, because I know people watch it all times of night, know that the man that God has for you is not going to require you to shrink to fit his
Shrink.
box.
Yeah.
He'll know how to make space.
Right.
He won't be intimidated by
Right.
what you carry. He will not be in competition with your anointing. If anything, he will know how to cultivate and harvest it, because it's
Mhm.
a favor to the whole family when you flourish. You know what I'm saying? It's not a
Mhm.
competition, and it should never be. And I think that that is one of the things that makes it so hard sometimes for Black men to love a Black woman, because we trying to figure that thing out. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I make space? How do I know? It goes back to that. How do I know? Oh, we got some some comments coming in. Shanita said, my thoughts are that in order to be vulnerable with anyone else, you first have to allow yourself to experience your own vulnerability, which comes in the form of being deeply honest with yourself about yourself, your feelings, and your trauma past.
Hmm.
Once you're
Hmm.
comfortable with that experience within self, the possibility of doing so with someone else is at least a possibility. Trauma usually plays a huge role in this, and at least in my experience, realizing you have things that need to be addressed and healed, and then doing the work is so freeing and opens you up to be available to receive the joy it's meant for you. Shanita, you baby, did you read the book? You must have read my book already. Did I leak it? I must have leaked it,
Yeah.
because that is
Nah, that
so
trauma
real.
piece is that trauma, because I was going to mention that too, because with trauma, sometimes people aren't vulnerable because of something that happened in the past.
One
Even whether it's an experience that something that they went through, or what happens is, like you said, like you were talking about the song, like,
mm-hmm.
Is It Love? Where, hey, I was vulnerable with my last two exes and they used that against me. So now you get into a relationship with a guy who God, let's say hypothetically it is, who God
Yeah.
has for you. Now you don't want to be vulnerable because it's like, well, hey, the last two guys threw this all in my face.
Let me run.
So now, yeah, let me run. And again, and I was going to mention too, because you mentioned a lot of good things, especially with, like your marriage and everything along those lines. With vulnerability, it made me think, how many relationships would still be intact if vulnerability existed?
That part. Come on.
Right? How many relationships would still be intact if vulnerability
Hmm.
existed? Because again, like you said, making
Yes.
space, right? And like you said, it's one thing for a man to, hey, the man makes space in order capacity to make space. But really making space is something that, for example, if I wanted to make space in my
Yeah.
apartment, I could. But again, it would just be me taking the initiative to move something around, move something over there, or even sometimes what I've even learned is there are some things I
Yeah.
got to get rid of
Mm-hmm.
to make space, right? They're just, when I was going through my closet, I'm like, man, there's no room for my clothes that I actually wear. So I got to actually go into my closet to see what I'm not wearing, what is just hanging in my closet collecting dust. I need to just donate these clothes to make room for my actual clothes. So sometimes we have to make room for what we're praying for, and we have to make room for
Yeah.
our spouse. So with that being said, that's where vulnerability comes in, to where, like you mentioned, your ex-husband was saying, well, what, I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel needed. And instead of you defaulting, most people, hey, I'm going to default back to what I seen
Correct.
at home, where my mom and my mom was waiting hand and foot on my dad. So that turns into, well, you being needed. If that involves me waiting hand and foot on you, that ain't happening, right? That ain't happening at all,
Yes.
right? But at the same time, that might not even be what he
Correct.
needs. He might say, well, I just, it's not just you want to take the trash out. It might just be, what? No, I just want more time
Yeah.
with you. Or I want, if my love language is words of affirmation, I just want to be affirmed that my presence in this household is vital,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's something that we have to be mindful of. And it's the same thing like you mentioned with Sarah Jakes, right? Hey, I want to have a Friday night out. So ultimately, vulnerability is like, hey, well, what does this Friday night out look like? Well, I want to go hang out with my girls. We're going to go to X, Y, and Z. We're going to be out for 3 to 4 hours. So the fact that she was vulnerable enough and gave him details. So vulnerability involves
Yes.
details. You and you can't have vulnerability without details. So again, the fact that she wanted to have a ladies' night, she said
Mm-hmm.
it's Friday. I want to go out from this period of time. So now Teray, he hears that because
Correct.
he's a man. He's in tune. He's a man. Key part. He's a man. He's in tune with his wife. So he's like, I am going to intentionally or be intentional about making space so that way she can go out. Like you said, I'm gonna make any necessary phone calls so that every Friday she can have a ladies' night out. Right? So again, vulnerability with details. We keep going back to my example, right? If you, like you said, had the Rona, COVID-19, you're just gonna tell me that you're sick. So that's not vulnerability because you're leaving out details because you're just saying you're under the weather. That could be anything. It could be a stomach bug. It could be a headache. It could be sore throat. It could be anything.
Asking me.
Exactly. Like exactly. Just pray for me. Just pray for me, right? But the fact that I was vulnerable and I gave you details, you said, "Oh, I got to go to prayer for my friend," and you knew I'm gonna get CMOS. I'm gonna get everything because I gave you details. So you were able to make room for what I needed. So again, vulnerability involves details. So again,
y'all better see my growth.
Exactly. So again, vulnerability, I'm telling you, vulnerability involves details. So again, you have to sit down with somebody and what does this look like, right? You want to be needed. Well, what does that look like? I want to have a ladies' night. What does that look like? I need space. As an introvert, I need space. I would expect my spouse, my wife, whatever, to say, well, what does that look like? You having space, what does that look like? Because I know for one of my best friends, him having space is playing Xbox. For me, I don't own a gaming console. So that's not the same thing for me. What do you want, Xbox? So she go out and buy me an Xbox. I don't play video games. It's just not my thing anymore. So again, you got to pay attention. It's all in the details. So again, me having spaces, maybe I just want to go to the gym by myself. Maybe I just want to have time to watch the game. Maybe I just want time to just read my Bible or just, watch a sermon or just time. But I have to be vulnerable and I have to surrender details. But again, I have to feel comfortable with surrendering those details because again, one thing that I don't like is I don't like talking and it going over somebody's head. Because if I can talk to somebody and it's like, oh, this is going to go way over their head, I dial back. Because if I'm talking to someone and they're going through a stressful situation and I know that maybe they're not as connected to God as I am, I know some people will feel like, well, connect them to God. But my thing is, but that's a whole nother live, and I ain't even gonna go there. We'll be on her till midnight. But my thing is this is if that person is not as connected to God as they should be, what I'm gonna say is gonna come off as too churchy, too Christian, things along those lines. They're looking for a cultural response, not a Christian response. So to me, I'm not about to give somebody a word and it's going to go over their head. To me, if I'm going to give you a word, I need it to be deposited into your spirit. But if it's going to go over your head, I'm just going to say, hey, bro, sis, I'll pray for you, man. Keep your head up. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. But if I'm having a conversation with you, I know I can give you a word. I know I can have that type of dialogue with you, right? So again, that's where that vulnerability comes into play. Like, you got to surrender details, but the person has to have the capacity to receive those details, to listen to what me needing space means, what having a girls' night looks like for you, what me feeling like being needed looks like. Like you said, what is my purpose? Like, what is my purpose going to entail? My purpose is going to entail that I'm going live with Lauren at 9:00. So I need time, right? I don't need you being behind my ring light seeing what's going on, right? I don't need you feeling uncomfortable that I'm going live with another woman, right? I need you to understand that this is a part of my purpose and a part of my calling. And that's just the vulnerability piece, right? And I want to surrender, hey, I'm going live with Lauren, right? Versus just saying, hey, I'm going live.
And then she get on there, me on.
Yeah. And listen, right? And guess what happens? Guess what happens? Right. And guess what happens, Lauren? Guess what happens? If I'm not vulnerable and I leave out details, I'm just going live. She gonna get on live expecting just to see me by myself. She gonna see somebody wearing my shirt and I'm like, whoa, you ain't tell me it was with her. but that's because I didn't
Yeah.
feel comfortable. Or if I was younger, I wouldn't have known
Right.
how to say it, because that was my battle with vulnerability back in the day. The people that I was in a relationship with didn't make me feel comfortable with feeling vulnerable, and I didn't know how to say, hey, I'm going live with another woman, or I'm doing woman empowerment, or I'm interviewing a woman, or I'm coaching. Just by default, I don't know, it's God's design. 90% of my women
Yeah.
clients are women.
Yep.
So how can you handle that? Or is it going to be, why are your clients all women? That's by God's design. And also too, going back to the vulnerability piece, men these days don't reach out for help the same way
No.
that women do. Because I've had DM conversations with men, identify the area that they can improve in, and it's like, oh, I'll get back to you. We just identified that you need to be better in this
Correct.
area. It's just like going to the doctor saying, hey man, my ankle's hurting every time I walk. Hey, you got a sprained ankle. We need to put a boot on it. We need to do some medical attention and physical therapy. Oh, no, I'm cool on the therapy. So you're just going to walk around with a sprained ankle for the rest of your life. The devil is a liar. But women are more open to, well, you know what? I got this sprained ankle and I'm tired of it hurting.
Yeah.
Let's do the work. So again, that's another, that's another reason why I feel like a lot of my clients are women. Obviously the woman empowerment and things along those lines, but it's also women are more open to being vulnerable. As men, like I said, we were taught be a man. We're not taught about vulnerability. Like I said, I didn't hear about vulnerability or like get more in tune with vulnerability till about 2-3 years ago.
And I want to go back to something Shanita Gardner said. Oh, she said she hadn't leaked I hadn't leaked her book yet, and she said, hope one day join us. Yes, look, we may have to I have to figure that out on here, how this work, and we can bring.
I know. How can we get 3 people in here?
I would
Yeah.
love that. So Shanita, I may be in your
That'd be
inbox.
fun.
But it's something she said about healing. When I
Mhm.
when I wrote Purposeful Pain, that was my process of healing. And when I started writing vulnerability, I knew that I still believe to this day that vulnerability was always my introduction to my purpose mate, because I had to get comfortable telling my uncomfortable truth. Hey, Miss Brenda. And so when God backtracked me and didn't allow vulnerability to be the second book, but actually my third book, and made intimacy my second book, it was like he was giving me the steps of how to really take off, but not just take off, but be able to soar long term. Because if you've only rehearsed the story, but you hadn't really, if you only read how to do the workout, but you ain't never did the workout,
The
you know,
workout, right.
you ain't practiced, so how we know you know how to do it? You know what I'm saying? And that's really what that journey was for me. And I said to someone here recently, I think the last live you and I talked about this, when I shared about the whys, sharing your whys. And and I said the only people that find the word why as a nagging word are the people that have not gotten comfortable with the rehearsed truth. They haven't heard it themselves. So it's hard for me to tell you something that I haven't even said out loud just to myself in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Or in my closet, or in my prayer time, or just with God, or wherever. And so, when you aren't comfortable with, that part of your life or that part of your journey, it makes it extremely hard to be vulnerable and to be able to say, you know what? A lot of these dysfunctional behavior that I have, it stems from the dysfunctional childhood that I had. Because it sounds bad, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? I can love you more and easier and from a place of empathy when I know where you have come from. So if you come in the
Right.
house and you come to my house, Carlton, and you're like, oh Lauren, I'm starving, like you didn't fix anything, and I'm like, well, Carlton, you just came from up the street. You passed 5 places. You hungry? You know, if I don't know where, if I didn't realize that you drove all the way from Philly, that's why you like this. I won't understand what's the big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know where you
Mm-hmm.
came from. I don't know the journey. I don't know what it has been like for you. And so I understood that vulnerability was going to be really, really huge, and understanding people's whys was going to be really, really huge in my own personal
Mm-hmm.
development. Um, and so now I have gotten to a space where I'm more comfortable like sharing, you know, because I always tell people I'm open,
Right.
but I'm closed at the same time. Like it's a very
Mm-hmm.
weird setup. But just as open as people feel that I am, I'm probably 10 times that closed up. Well, and so it takes me a while to like warm up, and especially now that I'm, you know, like Carlton, it no lie took me at least over almost like right at 2 years to even tell God that I desired a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I would not,
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
would
huge.
not
That's
publicly
huge.
say it to myself. Okay. Because all I heard after my divorce was, um, take your time, you know, don't rush into anything. That was it. No one said go
Mm.
heal before, you know, even considering embarking, like get a renewed mindset. No one said that. I just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
decided that
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
what I was going to do, right? And then it turned into my ministry, and it turned into introducing me into my purpose, and it turned into changing the way that I have evolved into our relationships as a whole. People tell me hard, mean, terrible things that they probably would never repeat to nobody in this world in coaching sessions every single day. So when you said something to me, it was like that was nothing. I didn't retract. I didn't like, oh, let me not, like, no. If anything, I wanted to run to you. I wanted to come in and
Mm-hmm.
protect you and say, okay, well, if he's weak and I'm the stronger vessel at this moment, let me cover him.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Right.
Let me
Right. Right.
cover
Right.
you. And that's what love does. That's what real love does. It covers a multitude of sins, right? It covers you. And we aren't taught that. And so we're
Right. Right.
taught,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, we're taught to ostracize people, and we're taught to
Mm-hmm.
condemn people, and we're taught to let me stay
Mm-hmm.
away from that. Well, then who gets
Mm-hmm.
free? It's free. And
Right.
so when I decided to heal and really start like understanding, okay, each of these um relationships or people that God was bringing in my life, it wasn't for me to gravitate and take and marry. You know what I'm saying? It was training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was the workout. It was the reps. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was
Right.
the
Right.
reps
Right.
to
Right.
get me stronger. Okay, how can I handle disappointment? Okay, so let me get disappointed a couple times. Let's see how I handle it. You know, how do I handle
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
someone being unemotionally available? Like, you know, they ain't emotionally available. Like,
Yeah.
how do you handle that? How do you handle trust? Like, it was like every relationship um I couldn't seem to grasp. Okay, God, what
Mm-hmm.
are we doing now? So when I took the time to realize, oh wait, I'm training. Like, he's not about to
Mm-hmm.
put me at the desk by myself. I'm still in training. I got it. And it
Mm-hmm.
made me sit back and be anxious for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And to just say, okay, let me start paying attention. And so now the season that I'm at, you know, I'm at a more mature season, in a higher discerning season, where I instantly can pick up off of energy, like, oh no, that's not it. Like, oh, let me just listen
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for a while, and then I realize that you're not a good listener, and then I realize that you are leading from the wrong perspective. So I know that I'm not going to follow you. See, now I know I need to go. It's not it. And it's almost like God was training my eyes and my ears, because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that hurt a lot of women is that we mentally prepare a whole family and marriage in our minds before it's actually reality, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so my parents still joke, especially my mom. She's always like, are we ever going to meet anybody? Like, are you, like today, I told her, hey, I'm going out of town this weekend. And she said, oh, you got a boyfriend? I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm going with my home girl. And she's like, so we just never gonna meet nobody, huh? Like, you just, I'm like, it's not that. It's just when it's time, it's time.
It's time. It's just not the
And I'm
season.
in.
Yeah. I mean, that training part is real good, Lauren, because again, like you said, if you've again, you got to learn how to be vulnerable, and there are aspects to vulnerability, like the details. And I often share with people sometimes that say, hey, you know what, I'm praying to learn how to be more patient. And I tell them, with being patient, you're going to be put in situations that require you to be patient. So if you're strength training,
Mhm.
right, you are going to be put in situations that's going to test and train your strength, because you can't train without
Come
being
on.
tested. So you're going to be tested in different areas of your life, so that way you can develop all of the components to be vulnerable, whether it is healing and all of
Mm,
those different things. And going back to, like you mentioned, it's like if you're not vulnerable with God, you ain't going to be vulnerable with nobody.
mm,
Because again, if you're not going to be vulnerable with somebody that already knows your ugly truth, so that's somebody you're saying you're shying away from being vulnerable with God, who already knows
correct.
your ugly truth. He knows every detail of your life. He already knew your ugly truth before you even
Yeah.
experienced your ugly truth. And you're not going to be vulnerable with him. Or like you said, you get to a point to where, like you said, we get trained, and it goes back to Romans 12:2, to where we conform instead of
Mm,
transform. So we're conformed to, like you said, you go through a divorce, and it's just like, I don't want, makes me cringe, where I don't want to be married no more. I don't want kids no more. I'm done. I'm over it, because you had a bad marriage or a bad relationship. The devil is a liar. Instead of going to God and saying, hey, God, prepare me for the right one and prepare the right
yeah.
one for me, right? It's just, I'm gonna be on defense and say, you know what, I don't want to be married no more. I don't want to have kids no more. And it makes me cringe where people are like, I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life, and that's okay, and I'm good, and and I'm good. I'm all right. I don't need a. The
The devil.
devil is a liar, and it makes me upset. And it makes me upset, because I'm like, you're not truly happy with being single for the rest of your life. Like, you are truly cool with that. Meanwhile, like you said, you drew up a whole family in your head. I'm gonna have 2 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, whatever the case might have been, whatever you
Correct.
dreamed of, and all of a sudden, that's not gonna happen, and you're all of a sudden, I'm okay, even though you painted that picture in your mind, because again, that is a
Yeah.
desire of your heart, and God will give you the desires of your heart. So why give up on the desires of your heart if God already promised it to you? Why would you give up on the desires of your heart if it's already yours?
Yeah.
It's yours, because God allowed the desire to be on your heart. And so if marriage is a desire of your heart,
Why
it's
would you
already
tell
going to
God it
happen.
wouldn't? He know you lying.
Why would you tell? Why would you tell God? God put it on your heart to be married. God
Yes.
already fixed for you to be married, and you're going to go to God and say, God, I'm cool. I don't want to get married no more. I'm cool. You can just take that off my
Correct.
plan for my life. And that's how you're going.
But
That's
you
the
know why
conversation you're going
people
to have with
do
God,
that? Because
right?
they're afraid of judgment. See,
Mm-hmm.
when people move on, then it's like, oh, well, did you move on too quick? Did you do da? But nobody asks, did you
Mm-hmm.
heal
Mm-hmm.
before you moved on? You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't ask that.
Exactly. And
They
that's
ask the
it,
most
right? And
important question is, who is it that you died to become so you could be prepared for the next relationship? Because see,
mm-hmm.
every trial comes with another step of elevation. When you are training and
Mm-hmm.
running, okay, you won the 4x4 this time. But okay, the next level, the next track meet, it's gonna be different people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be harder because you're going
Right.
up against different people. Are you prepared for that? How you want to be? You know how
Mm-hmm.
many track meets they have before you can even apply to be in the Olympics? So if
Right.
you're
Right.
trying
Mm-hmm.
to, if the
Mm-hmm.
ultimate goal is Olympics, then think about all the training and all of the races that you have to prepare for in between that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. But our
Mm-hmm.
issue is we want to go from struggle to strength. It don't happen like that, Carlton. It don't. And what's you are
Right. Exactly.
comfortable. See, I tell people, I've had guys that have been interested in me, or ask, hey, do you think you're going to be married
Mm-hmm.
again? My answer is always absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Do
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
not understand? My wings can't expand until they're added on to the thing that looks like my purpose.
Right. Right. Right.
My arms will only go so long naturally by what God has given me,
Mm-hmm.
but they will extend longer when I connect with the thing that goes with my purpose. And so I had to help people understand I don't desire a relationship because I am lonely. I desire a relationship because I know that means God is going to expand me. Again,
Me. Right. That's it.
it's
That's it.
not
That's it. That's
for
it.
I just want to go, because I
Mm-hmm.
want a vacation or I want to be with somebody.
Right.
Like,
Right.
no, I am preparing because I understand that there's a level of expansion, but can God trust you with expansion?
Expansion. And
Everything
that's it.
that
That's the
expands
piece.
is not always successful. Some people, their businesses die because they expanded too quickly.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. I was talking on my session earlier. I made a reference to a conversation I had with a
Mm-hmm.
previous client, and we were working in the area of
Mm.
procrastination. And I asked her, I said, "Do you think that God has not revealed your purpose to you because you're a procrastinator?" And the light bulb ding, she was like, I never really thought of it like that. So again, it's like, why would God reveal your purpose to you if you're going to procrastinate in it? Like you said, why would God call you to expand if you're not ready to expand?
Correct.
So it goes back to what you were mentioning between like going from like the relationship as far as like we're taught, to we're asked like, did you move on too quick, or are you talking to anyone? Because I always remember always think about, even just after my breakup, I think Java said she can't see
Uh-oh.
the live for
Well,
some reason. Yeah, I guess we all audio right
I can still see
now.
the live, so I don't know.
Yeah, I can still see you. Yes, I don't
Prayerfully. Well, when I
prayerfully.
save it, it
Yeah, I
should
don't know.
post.
Yeah, that's good. But I always love here and there when I go
Mm-hmm.
visit my mom, and my mom is, it's not like my mom asked me, did you heal from that? Like, or did you take the time to heal? My mom is like, depends on, my mom, being transparent, some on a decent day, my mom is, you ain't got no friends, like, you ain't talking to nobody,
Correct.
right? You know what I mean? And then, I found her on a day with an adult beverage, she's asking me when I'm going to have some grandkids, so it's like a whole nother conversation. But, but again, like you said, people don't typically ask if you've
Mm-mm.
healed. They almost ask like, well, you seeing anybody, or you single, it's time to mingle. We need to get you out, but you're not
Correct.
healed. So we gotta be mindful. Again, going back to Romans 12:2, we can't conform to the culture. Because I always mention on every single live, there's that divide
Yep.
between Christ and culture. We conform to the culture and we gotta move on
Mm.
quick, right? We gotta,
Yeah.
somebody said they can see it. But we're conforming to the culture, so we got to move on quick. We got to get a new bay.
Correct.
It's just like one bus. We miss one bus, the next one's coming, right? So that's what we're
Yep.
conformed to learning. But we got to be transformed mentally, because it's instead of saying, "Hey, I had a marriage, it didn't end the way I wanted it to. I got divorced." It's what can I learn from that that I can transition into what God truly has for me. Because like you said, am I going to get married? Absolutely. So what was God trying to teach me in that situation? So number one, I got to heal, but also two, I need to be transformed because I got to be a better woman than I was in the marriage. I got to be a better man in my next relationship than I was in my last relationship. Even if I look at my last relationship, and even if I feel like, hey, maybe my ex was the primary reason that it didn't work out, hypothetically speaking, I still have to look myself in the mirror and say, what can I do better in my next relationship? Because I can't look, because a lot of times people, again, because it goes back to people with these platforms who are saying, it was, it's the man and he wasn't the one, and the right man for you is going, jump over hoops for you and, buy your Range Rover and take you on vacations. Or it wasn't you, it was him. So you have a lot of women that are walking around saying it wasn't me, it was him. So they go into their next relationship and they don't change. And then they wonder why I've been 3-4 relationships and all these men I'm dating, it's not working out because you're not changing. You're conforming, not transforming. So we got to learn to transform. So this relationship didn't work, even if that man cheated on me. What can I do better in my next relationship? Not necessarily to prevent cheating, but let me reevaluate this relationship. I don't care if it was 3 months. What can I do better in my next relationship? What can I do better? Even if we look at our life, right? Even if we look at our lives, I even think about it. What can I do better on the next live? What can I emphasize on the next live, right? What can we do better, right? To lead up to the live. What can we do better? Even if we got 1K views, what can we do better the next live to get 2K views? Not necessarily for our sake, but it's like, how can we reach 1,000 more people? Impact. It's not about influence. It's about impact. Who can we impact? I always think back to, I think I was talking to a guy, what does success look like to you? I always ask myself, and I always feel this way, if I had a chance to have $1 million or impact 1 million people, I would impact 1 million people 10 times out of 10. Because $1 million might not impact anybody. It'll benefit me, my family, but that's just from a monetary perspective, not a spiritual perspective. So it's all about impact. So what can we do better in our next relationship? How can I be more vulnerable? Was I vulnerable enough? Did I surrender? Did I submit enough details? Or did I just kind of tell my other half a little bit of my truth? Right? Did I just kind of go into it and share just a little bit? I'm only going to share a little bit with her because I don't want her to judge me. I don't want her to think that I'm a cheater. I need to go into my relationship hypothetically, I'm not a cheater, but hypothetically go into a relationship. I'm putting that out there before, right?
Yeah, you will.
before I put that out there, before people put that out there. But anyway, if hypothetically that was my narrative, what? And I'm going to submit that. I'm going to surrender. Hey, I cheated. I stepped out. I need that person to understand, like, I need to be comfortable enough to say, hey, this is what I did, but I know that I'm better. So it's all about what can I do better. So that's why you go through that, like you said, that training season, because it's all about being better. I'm watching the NBA playoffs right now. I'm a huge basketball fan, and I listen to a lot of basketball talk. And like players that are being eliminated from the playoffs, it's almost like, what do they need to do to get better in the offseason?
Come on.
What do they need to do to get right? Exactly. What do I need to do in the offseason between me losing in my last game in the playoffs to the beginning of next season? What do I need to do better? Right? What do I need to do better? Or even just being specific, some may know, some may not, but it's just an example. Player Giannis Antetokounmpo. he's potentially going to be the NBA's MVP again. So he was MVP last year, and he has a chance to win the MVP this year. But there's a chance, because this team is losing this series, a 7-game series, they're losing. They're down 2-0, meaning like they lose 2 more games, they're going to go home. So a lot of people are criticizing this player. He's the MVP. He should be leading his team to the playoffs or leading his team to the championship. But if he's the MVP and his team is not getting to the championship, what do I need to do as a player to get my team to the championship? So what do I need to do from a man or a woman perspective to get my relationship from dating to engagement? What do I need to do to get from dating to marriage? Because I keep dating people. I'm dating people. Sometimes we need to just take a step back, and I need to heal, because I keep dating, and I'm not healing, and I'm not getting better.
Yeah.
So what do I need to do to get my relationship from the dating phase to me getting down on one knee? What do I need to do? I'm looking myself in the mirror. What do I need to do? Do I need to be more vulnerable? Do I need to listen more with open ears? I need to listen to understand, not listen to respond. Have I been vulnerable with God? Have I been truly vulnerable about all my feelings with God? Because if I haven't done that, I'm not going to be vulnerable with my spouse, and I'm just going to keep on dating. I'm going to date somebody else for 3 months. Oh, it's going to be cute. Oh, we went on a couple dates, got a couple pictures, and now it all falls apart. Why? Because I wasn't vulnerable.
Now he
Say it
gone.
again.
Now she gone. Or you can be like me, extremely careful, extremely careful, because I'm like, God, I don't want to make another wrong decision. And I always tell people, and I've shared this the other day on one of my lives. Someone asked me, did I feel like because I went through divorce that that was a failure? And I was like, no, that was a promotion. Like, do you know who I became? Like, have you not looked at my page? Do you know who I became as a result of that? I couldn't have to become this woman. Man. So I don't call that a failure. I call it a promotion because I was promoted. I was introduced to my purpose. I launched my ministry. I have connected with amazing people. I have, just impacted so many people just by all of the trials and troubles and transparencies that I have shared over the years with people. And like, I wasn't even nowhere near this woman in 2013, 15, and even 17. I wasn't a woman. So I don't see it as a failure at all. Well, what I do know is in this next relationship, baby, y'all just gonna get y'all notebooks, baby, because baby, he gonna be spoiled. I'm spoiled. Okay.
Hey, that's it.
I learned
that's
my lesson.
it. But see that perspective, though?
Yeah.
See that perspective? How many people, and I'll even go into this, how many people are taught to look at a perceived failure as a promotion?
Come on.
Because because we're taught because it's like we're taught certain things at a certain age, where it's like if you tell a child at a young age, my parents got divorced, they automatically, what does that mean? Mom and dad aren't together anymore. That's terrible, right? It's a failure. Why ain't y'all work out, right? What happened, right? So again, we almost have to go against the grain, because again, we have to learn things that we were never taught, because divorce is a perceived failure, but it's really a promotion. And most people, I'm going through divorce, and they're looking at it in a bad way. I'm going through divorce. This is terrible. I can't believe I spent 10 years with this person. But God just promoted me. And most people look at you, like, are you serious? Did you really get promoted? Again, Because again, if you hypothetically, I don't, if you hypothetically, let's say you
Yeah.
stayed in that marriage, maybe you conform instead of
Come on.
transforming outside
Yes.
of that marriage. So in that, because so many people stay in these relationships and they're
Yeah.
conforming, and you can't complete what God has assigned to you if you're conforming, because your calling requires
Yeah.
elevation.
Yeah.
Every level requires a better
Yeah.
version of you. And you're not going to be a better version of you if you're constantly
That's it.
conforming. And these relationships are forcing you to conform because you're just trying to make it work for the kids. You're just trying to make it work because y'all got 10
Right.
years in the game. I'm just trying to make it work because, like you said, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be judged as the woman that got divorced, or I don't want to be judged as the woman that was X, Y, and Z. So this is a promotion because now God, instead of allowing me to conform to 10 more years of marriage, I'm actually going to transform and be ready for the marriage that
Come
God
on.
truly has for
And
me.
it's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. And I already know. I already know because you're being transformed, because you're no
Yeah.
longer conforming to make it work. You are transforming to be better for the man that God truly has for you. So we got to be mindful that every man and woman on this live and that tunes in, I have to transform. I'm no longer
Yeah.
conforming to make relationships work. I was telling my client before I jumped on this slide, I said, don't force what doesn't
Woo.
fit. Again, I said, don't force what doesn't fit, because we were having this conversation to where it's like, I don't know if I'm talking too much, and I don't know if he likes the fact that I like to talk a lot, X, Y, and
Mm-hmm.
Z, right? And I said, again, the man that God has for you is going to
Yes.
love to talk, just like you. So it's so you don't got to force what doesn't fit. You don't got to keep trying to take a square shaped puzzle piece and try to fit it into a
Mm.
triangle. You don't got to force what doesn't fit, because what God has for you is for you. So again, I'm not going to keep trying to conform to make something work that's outside of God's will, because when you get outside of God's will, you get in God's way, and now you're delaying what he truly
That's it.
has for you. I'm no longer conforming. I'm a woman empowerment advocate. I'm not going to conform to be some man of the streets, because that's what my woman wants me to be. I'm not sagging my pants. I'm not wearing baggier t-shirts. I'm not getting gold chains, gold teeth. That's just not who I am. I am not
Yes.
conforming to what you want. Because if I gotta conform to what you want, I'm not truly what you want. Preach.
Drop
But anyway,
Cash App.
but
Drop
again,
the Cash App. Because
right, right.
if I gotta
I
conform,
gotta if I
that's
gotta
the part.
conform to
You
be
don't want
what
me.
you want, if I gotta conform, yeah, you don't want me. You want somebody else. If you want me to be, because I remember one part of my in my last relationship. Remember, my ex was like, "You're too friendly,"
She wanted you to be mean, Carl.
but I'm like, I'm not a mean person. So again, I remember, she's just like, men don't normally speak to women that they don't know, but I'm a
Well,
courteous
in the South,
person.
we do. So don't come down here.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
teach his own, right? Right, teach his own. But if I have to conform and say, man, I'm a
Yeah.
nice person, and I speak to whoever speaks to me, and I gotta conform and not speak to that person, I'm not what you want. So if I'm not what you want, why would I change who God created me to be? Because that's almost saying, God, I would rather conform to be what somebody else wants me to be instead of be transformed in who
That's
you
it.
want me to be. So I'd rather transform in my single season rather than conform to make a relationship work. The devil is a liar, because the relationship that God has for you, the relationship he has for me, and the relationship that he has for everybody watching right now and who will
On
watch this replay, the relationship that he has
yes.
for you, you don't gotta conform. You can be yourself. You can be weird, awkward. It doesn't matter. You can like Pokemon. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're going to meet somebody that like Pokemon too. right? You know what I mean? Whatever the case might be. Hey, I'm gonna meet somebody who, I like to be vegan. You're gonna meet somebody that wants to be vegan too,
Yeah.
or is already vegan. Who God has for you is for you. So again, you just gotta be you, because God wants to bless who you are, not who you pretend to be.
Or who you had to settle to be.
That's exactly. God can't bless who you're
Yeah.
conforming to be. Because if I was conforming and not being a woman empowerment advocate, then God does not bless me with having a relationship with you. God does not expand my apparel
Come on.
ministry. If I conform and say, oh, well, I'm not doing women empowerment no more because it's messing up my relationship. I got too many women liking my posts. I got, 400 women liking my posts, so I can't do women empowerment no more. The devil is a liar. The person that God has for me is going to be like, I'm proud that you're a Black man empowering Black women in this climate that we're in right now, where everybody's protect Black women, and we got Breonna Taylor, and we got police brutality and Black Lives Matter. You got a Black man empowering Black men and Black women. That's admirable. Not saying me, but if somebody else was doing it, that's admirable too. But if I have to conform and not empower a Black queen like yourself, then God can't bless me with opportunities to go live. God can't bless me with Dairy Queen apparel, right? So again, God can't bless who I'm pretending to be or who I'm conforming to be. God can only bless the person that I'm transforming into, because every level, there's levels. Every level requires a better version of Carlton. Every level requires a better version of Lauren. And we got to transform into those people. So like you said, that's a perceived failure to the culture. Oh, I got divorced. Because if, again, you put divorce on social media, oh man, we praying for you. Oh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. And then, they're like, I'm sorry for your loss, right? And you're like, sorry for my loss. You're like, oh no, I just got promoted.
Look what I birthed. Yeah.
Right? Look what I birthed. But we missed that. But we missed that because our minds are trained to see certain things a certain way.
Good. That's so good. That's the way to end the live right there. Is to help purposeful pain.
Purposeful pain. That's a I can even go into that too. I remember I took a class, and the question was, is all pain bad?
No.
And me being narrow-minded, I was just like, that's kind of a trick question. I'm like, because pain hurts, right? And I went into a narrow-minded. I was like, hey, I answered the question. I felt silly because I answered the question. I'm like, yeah, there's mild pain, moderate pain. Some pain is severe. Some pain is like, faint, right? And I looked at my classmates' response, and it was like, yeah, all pain isn't bad, because pain lets you know that something's wrong. So, like you said, purposeful pain. Sometimes pain lets you know that something's wrong, or God is going to use your pain as your purpose, or to be a part of your purpose. Because again, Judas betraying Jesus was a part of Jesus.
Part of the process.
Purpose. Part of the process. And that's why I love Romans 8:28. God works everything together for our good. God can turn pain into joy. And that goes to Romans 8:18. It says the pain that you feel right now, it can't even compare to the joy that's coming. And I tell people that all the time. I'm going through heartbreak and all those different things. And I said, man, that heartbreak you feel can't compare to when you're walking down the aisle in Punta Cana wearing your favorite color and having a marriage of life, right?
It was work. You throw it all away if that's what was coming. you leave them trash relationships alone if you knew that the greatest gift that ever made was waiting on you. You would leave that stuff alone,
Right. Or even this too, right? If God says there's 3 more relationships, now hypothetically not prophesizing that for you, but if there's 3 more relationships between you and your husband, if you knew that, how many people would truly go through it? Oh no, I'm cool. I got to go through 3 more failed relationships. But that's just the perspective. But that's right, exactly. But that's only a perceived perception, because it's like, instead of saying those are 3
Yeah.
failed relationships. I got promoted 3 times.
And I became greater every time. Each time,
Every time.
each of those relationships exposed a version of
Mhm.
me that I did not know was still under construction, because I was so focused on
Right.
the building that I
Mhm.
forgot, oh, that bathroom is still under construction. It's not ready yet. Yeah, the living
Mhm.
room is ready. Yeah, the kitchen is ready, but the master bedroom is not.
Mhm.
You know, there's the floor still
Mhm.
needs to be laid, and so when I began to sit back and just really pay attention, at that point I was
Mhm.
like, you know what, God, you're preparing me. You're preparing me. So I'm just
Mhm.
gonna sit here, you know, and that's why James 1:4 is so endeared to my heart. I was sharing that in a session earlier
Mhm.
today, that my intimate circle is called James 4, and it's literally 4 of us. And you know, James 1:4 says
Mhm.
that let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be entire, wanting. And I said in the session, as I was telling her, I was like, and you know what's so crazy? Is why I had to say, let patience have her perfect work. Now, a lot of times in the Bible, everything was a masculine type, you know, type patient,
Yeah.
talking about the
Mhm.
king and the he and but why did patience and her have to be? He must know women not as patient as men. You know, because y'all are gonna sit
Ah.
in a deer stand and wait to shoot one deer. Y'all will sit out there on a boat and wait to catch 2 fish. Women, like, we moving at
Mhm.
a speed of lightning, and we got to get this done. We got to do this, and we got to do that.
Mhm.
And so we are constantly
Yeah.
in a state of motion. That when you have to let
Mhm.
patience have her perfect work, that means you got to sit. That ye may be entire, wanting
Mhm.
nothing. Meaning, I don't desire. I'm full. I'm whole. You know, I allowed patience to just do her thing. I didn't rush her. I didn't say, okay, God, when
Mhm.
is okay? I'm at the end, the book written. Where the man at? You come and what you do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm.
I got to that point where I was like, God, oh wow, I'm not praying about that last thing last year. I'm not worrying about that stuff from last week. God, I bless you. I just saw God in everything. So even again, when I told my mom, oh, I'm going on vacation, she was like, instantly, her mind went, oh, you must be going with a guy. And I'm like, why? Like, why I can't
Mhm.
just go? Because
Mhm.
I'm a loner. I'll drive anywhere by myself. Like, and when I say anywhere, I mean like 6, 7, 8 hours in the car. Like, it's nothing to me, you know, to take a flight and go where I want to go at all. And so I'm like, no, I'm enjoying this me time. You know, because there's gonna be a
Mhm.
season that time's gonna come, and I'm gonna start low key probably missing it. Like, oh, I remember when I could just.
Right. Yeah. Going back to I referenced the liminal space, that time
Yeah,
between, that transitional space between being single to relationship. You got to work on you because you don't get that time back. So like you said, and that's kind of how I am as an introvert. That's why, I'm not rushing into the family children thing, because I love just being able to say I'm having my own space, because I
well, you
know, like I said, I
can.
have a desire. Right, exactly. Because I know once I get married and have children, that introverted time is probably going to be cut in half at the very least, if not more. So yeah, so so again, like you said, you got to
Yeah,
enjoy that time now and take advantage of that time now. That liminal space is so important. But again, that's huge. But again, we gotta untrain our mind to certain things. We gotta see things in a
yeah,
different way. Again, it's 3 different promotions. I learned something from every single
right.
relationship, and we don't want that narrative. And I was going to go back to, we often reference Jeremiah 29:11, and people shout, God has a plan for me to prosper, right? And that's very, very true. And it's
Correct.
true, right? But if we look at Jeremiah 29:10, one translation says that you have to do 70 years
Oh,
in
come on.
Babylon. So, and when Jesus is talking to these individuals that are doing 70 years in Babylon, they're
Mm-hmm.
prisoners, they're captives. So it's like you have to be in Babylon for
Mm,
70 years. So before you prosper, you got to do
come
your time in
on. You got to be
Babylon.
processed before you process.
And it's,
Got to.
and it's the process. Exactly. You got to, and again, I tell people, and I mentioned this on one of my lives, is that God cares more about prosperity than your preference, because it mentions prosperity, but it doesn't mention I'm going to prosper you the way that
Yeah.
you want to prosper. Because if the goal is marriage, God is like, I'm going to get you to marriage. I'm not going to promise that you're going to meet one person and it's going to lead to marriage. You might go through 10 relationships before you get to marriage. But the end goal is still marriage. The end goal is
Yeah.
still prosperity. But God is not focused on your preference, because we want to prosper a certain way. We want to meet you want to meet your Boaz. I want to meet him. I want to meet him, and I want him to be walking towards me with no shirt on, sweat glistening, and he got a 6-pack, and he got a beard, and he's 6'3". The devil is a liar, right? It might not.
Well,
It might
I'm
not be that
5'10", so yes, God, I need. I need to be 6'3", guys, so that way I can wear my heels comfortably.
No, I understand. Yeah. So, but again, God also knows the desires of your heart. So keep that in mind too.
So yes, look, I appreciate being able to spend time with you tonight, as also
Likewise.
back
Likewise.
on our
Likewise.
schedule. And so excited to be launching and getting ready to launch. It's so funny. I'll tell you this before I let us go tonight. I told Jocelyn, I said, we were talking about strategies for vulnerability coming up, and all the different things that I want to do to really try to make sure that I'm impacting and reaching as many people as possible. And so I told her, I said, I'm gonna have to tell Carlton that he can't go anywhere in the month of September. She was like, "Oh yeah, because Carlton gotta stay. He's gotta stay." Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm a mainstay. This is no longer a
That's
series. This is a
it.
partnership now. We're a team. This is no longer a series. This is no longer a August series type
Yeah.
of thing. We're a team.
Yeah,
So
so I just adore you. I'm grateful for you. I already knew you were gonna be healed, so I was never worried about that at all. But I am just elated to be back on our normal schedule. I don't know what the topic's gonna be next week,
right.
y'all. So don't ask. I don't know.
We'll
We're gonna
figure it
come with
out.
something. So y'all, please share our live. Please support Carlton's brand. I love it. I'll make sure that I drop the link for it all over the place for the Dear Queen shirts. This one's mine, and it's great quality. I've been getting compliments on it because I've been wearing it today, and I couldn't wait to wear it for this live. So I'm excited to support you.
I appreciate it. Likewise, I appreciate the support. It's super encouraging. You make it look very well. Like I said, you're the perfect spokesperson for it. So whoever's tuned in, make sure you get your shirt. We can wear them all together on the
Yes.
live. So, the support is important. The support is amazing. You're amazing as well. Like I said, couldn't wait to be back. And I mean, I admire everything that you do, and, everything from your coaching to your purpose and the being aligned with your purpose and your perspectives of everything. Again, looking at a failure as a promotion, like I said, that's something that kind of shows where you are and what God has put inside of you. So, this is, like I said, this is a team.
Yes.
This is a team.
It is. So y'all stay tuned for next week. Share our live. Drop some comments. Let us know what you think, how you feel. Are you getting vulnerable? Are you struggling? We just want to know. The bar, Naked and Ashamed, my vulnerability personal story will be launching this month. So I'm sure we'll talk about it on some form of the live. So y'all make sure that you subscribe to the page so you don't miss it. So we love you guys on purpose, and you have an amazing night and a great weekend. Bye, Carlton. See you.
All right, see you, Lauren.